This is a 1993 Mazda Unos Roadster 1.6, and it is quite simply the world's best-selling convertible sports car. But that's not just me touting up a car, it actually is recognised in the Guinness World Records. But this is not just any Unos, or Mazda MX-5 Miata, depending on where you are in the world. This specific Unos Roadster is a little bit special. You see, the 1.6 litre engine has been removed and replaced with a 1.8 litre engine. And then a turbocharger has been added. And it's also got some different wheels and a few other bells and whistles too. Yes, you can perhaps tell by the memes on the dashboard, this is Jimmy Broadbent's MX-5. And today, I'm going to review Jimmy's car and see how it drives. Okay, so Doug DeMuro meme intro out of the way. Hello mates, and yes, welcome to my latest creation for Assetto Corsa. This is the Jimmy Broadbent MX-5 in digital form for all of you to have a go at driving. So I think first of all, let me show you a little bit around the car, explain how exactly this car exists, and then we'll take it for a spin, hey? So obviously I started with a factory stock NA MX-5 1.6 completely standard model that was already in the game. However, I unfortunately could not find a right-hand drive car. All of the cars that exist, all of the NA Miatas that exist for Assetto are left-hand drive. So that was the first challenge. We had to convert the entire car from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. It involved a lot of swapping of models, or swapping of meshes, reversing and mirroring of things, a little bit of moving and shifting, and thankfully it's all turned out okay. Then we need to add some of the Jimmy special bits. So we've got some fender flares on there, we've got a larger exhaust, we've got the new TE37 rotor style wheels. I'm not sure exactly what they are. I think there might be rotor grids or something. We've got the UK style number plates, and one of my favourite little tidbits is the Unos Roadster badge on the front. At the back, I've replaced the Miata logo, or the Miata badge, with a Jimmer badge, and added a hardtop, because Jimmy's car has a hardtop. The interior has been stripped of its carpets and things, and we've added a roll bar to kind of match the real-world Jimmer vehicle. On the dash, the piece de resistance of the interior is, without a doubt, the sticker bombing of the dashboard, so I've tried to do my best to match the real world car. Had to kind of get a little bit creative with some Photoshop to get them to look nice and tidy. I've also swapped in a kind of Sparko Sprint seat that's not exactly a perfect model, but it's close, and also his OMP steering wheel. All in all, the car's all in and working, and 80-90% there. It's not exactly perfect. I'm no 3D modeler. I don't do this for a job. It's just a hobby. But yeah, we've kind of been relatively tasteful in matching the real car. I haven't added any of the, shall we say, battle scars that Jimmy's real world car has. This one's kind of a bit clean, but yeah, that's okay. It's the digital version. But I did add a little bit of black poo smoke around the exhaust tailpipe, because his car seems to have a bit of a soot mark there. That's enough talking, I suppose. Let's take her for a spin, and I'll explain to you some of the physics and what exactly is working under the engine bay. Okay, so I felt it was fitting to take the car to Donington, which is the track that Jimmy visited not so long ago in his car, and I think it was his first time ever as doing a track day in his own MX-5. And let me start with some of the specs. So I've done my best to match his power level. He's got around 330 horsepower when the car's on high boost mode. And the engine is built to kind of match my own MX-5, because I have data on that. I don't have exact dyno data on Jimmy's car, so I had to do some artistic liberties there. Other than the engine, the turbo itself's running up to around just shy of 20 psi, I think, to achieve that sort of 330 horsepower mark. Brakes wise, there's a slight upgrade to the brakes at the front, although they really struggle to handle the power that this car pumps out. Tyre wise, we're running the Yokohama 8008R. Again, I have to make some artistic liberties to be able to get that exact tyre model. I'm not a tyre model expert. I don't have data on these things. I don't even know exactly what sort of speeds Jimmy was doing through the track. So I kind of made it all up. Suspension wise, we've got some coilovers with slightly heavier springs. Gearbox wise, we've swapped in the BMW 5-speed, which does make for the gearing to be a little bit odd. So to sort of compensate for that, the rear end diff ratio has been swapped from the 4.1, which I think Jimmy currently has, to a 3.6 diff rear end ratio, which I believe is what he's planning to put in the car. Even with the 3.6 diff, the car can still only just get to around 220, 230 kilometers an hour, which is, I don't know, 130, 140 mile an hour. So it can top out pretty quick because there's quite a lot of power in this car. You take it to a track with a long straight, Monza, the Nürburgring, whatever, you'll be hitting the limiter pretty quickly. So with that in mind, I've also given this car, or given Jimmy, a special 2.8 ratio rear end. So if he does want to take it to the ring, it'll hit just shy of 300 kilometers an hour in 5th gear, should he want to go for that typical Jimmy Broadbent Nordschleife lap kind of challenge thing. Other than that, what else have we done mechanically? Not a whole lot, I suppose. As I mentioned, tyres and brakes are probably the limiting factor for this car a little bit. It's got plenty of power, but it does struggle to pull up, and it struggles to get around the corners cleanly. You can get it sideways relatively easily if you, well, you don't have to try real hard. Let me show you how she drives at speed. Can be a little tricky to pull up the car. And at first I thought I'd sort of got my modelling wrong and my data are a bit off. But then I realised no, it's just the brakes can't quite handle the car, and you've got to brake pretty early to be able to get the car to kind of pull up in time. I did play with alignments and things to get it a little more stable and a little more realistic. So hopefully it matches the Jimmer experience relatively realistically. Bit of a dodgy line there, a little bit of an arse out. The car seems to have zero trouble at all getting the tail out if you're in a lower gear and you put the power down. And I think that's probably accurate. The 808 tyre's good, but this car has got a lot of power. You can see there, I was in 5th and I was already sort of topping out. Oh, I was struggling to pull the car up. So, normally an MX-5, Miata, Unos Roadster, whatever you want to call it, is quite easy to drive. They don't have a lot of power. They have okay grip, but they usually come with fairly small tyres. When you go and sort of triple-ish the power, you kind of lose some of that ease of driviness. So this thing's a bit of a handful. You actually can't just hoon around in it like you might like to. So you've got to be pretty delicate with your inputs, particularly under braking, and I think that's partly down to the brakes themselves, partly down to the fact that the tyres are good, but they're just not made to handle this much power. I forgot to mention, weight-wise, the car's a little lighter than stock because some of the parts have been stripped off, but then it's also had things like a turbocharger and a roll cage added, which adds power, adds weight to it. So all in all, I've set it at around 970 kilograms, I think it was. Add a driver, 70 odd kilo, and you're looking at about you're looking at about, I don't know, 1030 kg for car and driver together, so not a heavy car. Now, if you're curious, why would I do this? Why bother? Do I really have that much time on my hands? No, I don't have much time on my hands, but I like challenges. I enjoy doing stuff like this. It's just a hobby, it's just something I like to do, and every now and again, you can have a go at something you've not done before. So I thought, let's have a go at doing this. I've never done 3D modeling and things really prior to me building my own NB MX-5 a few months back. But for me, I enjoy driving MX-5s, and I enjoy driving slightly quirky or unusual cars. It's all well and good going and jumping in some really fast race car or a GT car or whatever and being really quick and thinking you're a GT racing driver, but those cars are built to be really quick and easy to, almost easy to drive. They're almost very clinical, and although I do enjoy driving them, I enjoy the challenge of something that's a little bit left of field, a little unorthodox, so why not give back to a bloke who gives so much to the sim racing community, YouTube community. And, you know, this isn't like me trying to, I don't know, ass kiss or anything, but it was just something to do. And given I have a bit of an affinity for the MX-5, I kind of hope that this will encourage Jimmy to actually take his real car out on the track more and kind of build it out to be something quick, beat some Porsches, because that's what MX-5s are made to do. Don't believe me? I've done it myself. You can check out plenty of my videos where I'm overtaking Porsches in an MX-5. It's not impossible, because typically Porsche owners don't want to break their cars, don't want to risk them quite as much as an MX-5 owner does. But this is the car in all of its glory. It drives okay. I'm no pro. I don't think I got this exactly spot on, and there are a few things I had to do to kind of make the car work that perhaps don't exactly match the real world, but you know, what of it? I did my best. Of course, the question you're asking is, can you download it? Yes, of course you can download it. I'll put a link in the description. You'll get it from my website, free of charge. Don't have to do anything special. Just go and enjoy it. Cut some laps. Try and beat Jimmy's time. Don't beat my time. That'll be easy for you. And I'm sure Jimmy will probably take this thing around the Nürburgring and do his, you know, lap. I don't know if I can quite match that. I'm probably not going to be able to get anywhere near his time, but I'll do a couple of laps now and I'll throw a time down below, and you can sort of see roughly what sort of time the car can do. But that's it. That's the car. Go and download it, drive it, enjoy it. And I guess there's one more thing we do need to do before we say goodbye. And that is a full grid of Jimmy MX-5s. And there's a reason we need a full grid of MX-5s. We all know the Jimmy Broadbent catchphrase, please no punterino. Oh yes, punterino. Can you imagine what you can achieve? A fleet full of cars. Oh, the punting. Okay, yeah, you get the idea. Anyway, thanks for watching. Download link in the description below. Go enjoy. See you next time.